Hmm. Who would have thought that Stan Edgar can put Homelander in place? And Homelander, trying the superhero that he is, couldn't even hear his heart beat rapidly. So that says Stan Edgar is a bad A in season 2 of The Boys. That is not a spoiler, by the way, people. That is a fact. What is going on, everybody? Michael here. Welcome to another live episode of Technoid. I hope you all had a safe and happy Halloween. I am coming to you live from the headquarters of where I do my live streams. Yeah, I really got to do something about this. Welcome back, everybody. It seems we've already got a few people in the house. We've got Kaiza. I'm sorry, I still don't know how to say your name, my brother, but thank you for coming on. We got Gene in the house. Good to have you on, Gene. Walter's in the house. Good to have you, Walter. Kathy is in the house. We got Kimon, and more people are making their way in. So thank you for tuning in. So tonight's show, again, is a live episode. We are not going to be focused on one topic. We're going to do multiple topics, but all related to tech, of course. And we're just going to have fun with this one because Halloween was yesterday. So let's get into the candy. Let's give you some treats. Now, of course, I am honored and privileged by you saw by the title. We are joined tonight by, once again, returning for his second appearance on the Technoid live show, ShoAndTech. So I will bring him on in just 1 second. But first, we have one quick roll call. We got GS in the house. Thank you for stopping by. So, with all that being said, let us welcome back for his second time on the Technoid live stream, ShoAndTech. Welcome back. It is great to have you back, and welcome back to the show.
What's going on, guys?
Now, as you guys can see, we've done this before. We've been on live before. If you haven't seen that last live stream, I will leave a link at the end of the video. You can check it out for yourselves. It was a great podcast we had that night, and I am thrilled and honored to have him back tonight for a second time. So we appreciate you coming on.
It's no problem, man. I was looking forward to it.
Of course. Now, there will be some other guests hopping in and out if they can make it. I have sent the link out to other people. So if we have more guests, we will add them in, and we will discuss more as we go along. Now, just want to clarify before we start the show, before we go right to our first story, again, this is just a fun episode. This is not meant to upset you, but some people do get triggered. So if you like the podcast, if you like what you enjoyed, make sure you hit the like button. If you dislike the video or the podcast after, make sure you hit that dislike button because it does help circulate my videos. You have no idea you're helping out even if you don't like. And also make sure you follow me on Twitter at Technoid12. I will write that down in the live chat. And if you want to be a part of future shows, if you'd like to come on, again, DM me on Twitter for more information. And lastly, the last announcement, live chats are optional. I don't usually like to push it with people, but if you're considering giving a live chat, I do appreciate that. It is completely optional by all the means, and any money that is donated on these live streams will be used to improve the content of the channel. Now that we've got that paragraph out of the way, let's start it up. So story number one, well, not really a story, but just for fun, because me and you, we've done this, we've gone down this path before. Let's talk a little bit about the one audio company that has really truly revolutionized, in my opinion, the marketing concept, but also revolutionized the way we look at audios. I am, of course, referencing Anchor Soundcore. Now, you and me are both adamant fans. I think we can both agree. They make some really good products.
Absolutely.
I think we can both agree that, in my opinion, I would say, I don't know if you agree with this, but if there was one company that has made high-quality audio products without that heavy price tag, it's this company. And, there are a lot of audio companies out there that probably are recognized. There are probably a lot more. But the thing that sets Soundcore apart from the rest is that this is a secondary company made by a company that is known for power banks and cables and Anchor. Everybody knows Anchor. So when it comes to reliability, this is a brand that I think would fall under the lines of being trusted. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Well, if you guys don't know, me and him are both reviewing at the same time. I don't know when yours is, but I'll be looking forward to your video. The Life Q30s. Of course, you saw my unboxing. And of course, ShoAndTech, you had yours as well. Now, I just want to talk about this real quick because I don't want to spoil anything for the review. But a lot of people are already on board. This thing has already been a big hit with consumers on Amazon and on their website. Reviews are craving. And I'm going to tell you, I've been using them literally for less than a week, and I can tell you right now, it's a full 360 from when I had my experience with the Q10s, where I felt like they were more focused on the bass up feature and more focused on kind of the price tag and taking a cut on the sound. This thing kind of just did a full 360, and while it stayed in that same price range, it completely changed the sound quality and just brought things that we love about the other products, like features and things, and bringing them over. Now, of course, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil your review or anybody's review, but I just want to ask you real quick, if you had to pick just one thing that you really enjoy, if it had to be just one thing that you've been doing so far, what did you enjoy so far about these headphones? Just one thing.
I think the easy answer for that one would probably be the way that they have redone their active noise canceling. So with the Q10s, obviously there was no noise canceling. The Q20s is when they introduced it, and it really wasn't the best overall. While the build quality, I think, was better than the Q10s. But with the Q30s, the noise canceling is actually really good. I use the Sony 1000 XM3s, and I'm not going to say that it's as good as the Sonys in terms of like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the original movie for, I was going to say Deadpool. I don't mean Deadpool. What's the one superhero who's he's blind?
Oh, Daredevil.
Daredevil, that's it. Where he's like in the hyperbaric chamber and you can't hear anything, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When you put the XM3s on, it kind of feels like that, like you've just been submerged underwater and you can't hear anything. The Q30s aren't necessarily at that level, but I find when I wear them at the gym or just wearing them at home, if my wife's beside me doing something else, it really does do a great job of blocking out all that noise so you can focus on the music or the game or the content that you're watching. So I think they did a really good job at recognizing that maybe they didn't do so well the first time around and really improving on it the second time around. That, and you can kind of tell just based on the picture that you have up, the build quality. So I know that overall the build quality isn't the greatest. I mean, you're paying like $79 for a really good sounding pair of headphones. So they've got to make sacrifices somewhere. And I think that the main sacrifice was definitely just in the quality of materials that they used. So I think the headphones will last a long time as far as durability goes, but the plastic that they use on the ear cups, especially, you can kind of tell that they're not really premium, but the headband is where they actually make sure to spend some money, because that's usually where over the ear headphones kind of start to crack first. So I'm glad they put the materials in the most important part and then kind of made some sacrifices everywhere else to keep that price point under $100.
Agreed. Absolutely agree. I will say one thing that I like, and with that, I will bring in some guests after I finish this real quick, but I'm just going to go right to it. I absolutely agree. I really don't want to go into too much detail because, again, I will save that for both of our reviews because, we got to give the people something to watch. But I will say that the one thing that I truly loved about these headphones is the sound quality. Now, of course, that is pretty typical for everybody to say. But here's the thing, guys. So you've used the Sony XM3s. I use the AKG N700 NCM2s. Those are headphones made by AKG. They're one of the well-known audio brands from dating back to the 30s. So they have a reputation with audio quality. And to me, I'm going to say this right now, for $80, even though the AKGs are just a little more detailed, these things come really close. And I'm not even spoiling my review. You saw that in my reaction. These things come really close. I won't go into too much detail, but I will say that when they tout the high-res certified audio with clarity and detail, they were on the nail. Of course, there are some areas they could improve on, but again, you could do that with EQ. But the point is, for $80, I feel like they sound better than an $80 pair, and that says a lot. And with that said, now it's time to bring on our first two guests. And ShoAndTech, you're in for a treat because tonight we are joined by the one and only SMT, Jandi, and Zero Cool RF. What is up, you guys? Good to have you on tonight.
Hey, I wouldn't call it a privilege. I'd call it an unfortunate distraction.
This is an unfortunate complication. We are going to have to put him in timeout. I'm just playing. And Zero Cool RF, welcome in, brother. Good to have you on.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Hey, buddy.
So anyway, I'm going to finish up real quick with Soundcore. Me and ShoAndTech were talking Soundcore. I don't know if you guys were listening, but definitely be on the lookout for our reviews. I will link his video in the description at the end as well, and I will also link mine as well. You can check them both out. I think his is better. Does a great job. But real quick, and then we'll get to our real first topic of the video. This is about the time of year when headphone manufacturers do their refresh. this is the time of year when we get their so-called next generation headphones. So I want to ask you, the Liberty Air 2 and the 2 Pros are the first two earbuds that come to mind when I think of refresh. Now, I would ask you, between the two of them, which one would you think, or would you prefer them to refresh if you had to pick? And what would you like to see if they do a refresh? What would you like to see in one of the two buds or both of them?
Is that me?
Yes, you, ShoAndTech.
I think that's an easy one based on the aesthetic. As great as the Liberty 2 Pro sound, most people are concerned with the way that they look when you're in your ears. And I think that the Liberty Air 2s definitely sold more units overall. So I would expect that if anything were to get updated, it would be the Air series. And excuse me.
No worries, bless you.
I think that in terms of what can be changed, they nailed the sound quality. They nailed the battery life and the build quality as well. The only thing that they're technically missing would be some form of active noise cancellation. So they've got the passive noise canceling down, obviously, because it seals your ear canal. But I think to remain competitive, especially with the AirPods Pro and apparently the AirPods Pro Lite or AirPods Pro SE or whatever they're going to name it, the more budget friendly option. I think that's definitely the direction that it's going to go in. And if it bumps the price up by, $30, I don't think that it's going to cause any major issues. As a matter of fact, they might as well bump it up by 50 and make it the same price as the Liberty 2 Pros, but then offer the ANC as well. So I definitely think that would be their target. Haven't heard from them on it, obviously. They kind of keep me in the loop. They do keep me in the loop, but not so much. But I would definitely suspect that it'd be the Air 2s.
I agree, but I'm going to go with the 2 Pros. I picked the 2 Pros not just to diversify, but also because I kind of prefer the 2 Pros, even though they are a little big. I do prefer them. But I think with the shape of the 2 Pros, you can add the ANC because there is enough space in there to add active noise cancel. You can use that design because when I looked at the teardown in Jerry Riggs' video, there was a little bit of area where they could work with besides that microphone piece at the top. There is area that they can ergonomically kind of fit in and active noise canceling, or if they have to work on something of that caliber. However, though, you're right. The Air 2s are the target headphones because a lot more people seem to gravitate towards a minimal design. Mm-hmm. Now, real quick, Sneed, I was the one that sent you the Air 2s. You bought them and you've been using them. Now, based on what ShoAndTech said, would you agree that you would like to see something like that in a refresh? What would you like to see as well? And maybe Caleb, if you've used any, you could chime in.
So I used the Liberty Air 2s, and they're really good. The sound quality is really good. The design is excellent. ShoAndTech talked about that sealing for the sound. It does a pretty nice job of that passive noise canceling. The drivers are really good. The sound quality is excellent. The thing about those headphones, so like that design, where the kind of like the arm comes down a little bit, that's all aesthetic. I mean, is it really all about the mics for that? Like, having space for the microphones? I don't know. But like, if I was going to try a pair of headphones, I don't know if I'd go with the newer upgraded version of those. I would be tempted to try the Liberty 2s or like the next successor if they were to come out with a new model, because I'd look at that design now because I've tried the Liberty Air 2s, maybe to look at something different. Is it possible that those are better? So I would probably try those actually. The battery life on the Liberty Air 2s is also decent, but do you think they might be better with the Liberty 2 Pros because they're a pro grade? Or is it just pro in the sense of like the sound performance? So I would be looking to step up my game. I mean, most people don't regress when they buy products. They want to get the better on the next go. So if it's a pro grade model, that's the direction I want to go in. I want to step up. I'd probably look into trying that. The cost, I think it's competitive. I mean, most of these pro grade earbuds are like $200, $250 anyways. So they're competitive in the pricing. I'd want to give them a listen, I guess. But, Yeah, I kind of like them actually. Now that I'm looking at those are kind of cool.
You're lucky I put you on the bandwagon. You could thank me for that.
Those are pretty nice headphones, man. Appreciate you looking out and sending those over, man.
Of course, man. And
Yeah.
lastly, Cool RF, what do you got to say? Have you used the Soundcore product, or what are you thinking?
I excuse me. I have not. But
Ooh, that microphone is sharp.
It's got a little bit of a clip.
Yeah, a little bit of a clip. Apologies.
all right, is this better?
But perfect.
Mhm.
Okay. Alrighty. So I agree with ShoAndTech and Sneed. As far as Liberty Air 2, I've not used these headphones, but I do like the diamond inspired sound on it, and I think Sneed's right. I think they can kind of maybe adjust the aesthetic on it a bit, but as far as that, maybe a little bit improved battery life, and I think you get yourself a winner. I do like the price point. So I think out of those three, I think the Liberty Air 2, that's the one that they can work on and engineer and make better.
Anybody know anything about those Spirit .2s?
Yeah, I do. They're the workout earbuds. They're like
Okay.
they're a smaller version of basically how would I say this? Think of the Galaxy Buds except smaller. And they definitely, I've used them once. They have very good bass. I gotta say the bass on that
Oh,
is
wow.
clean. But I
Nice.
wouldn't say that it's like better than the Air 2s because I think the Air 2s are a little more crisp. I like the Air 2s, but I will say I will prefer these to go to the gym because of those ear hooks. I think that's another thing I would like to see. Maybe they can expand on. Maybe see if they could get some kind of ear hooks or ear tips for the Air 2s. Because if the Air 2s are going to be their most popular selling earbud that they're going to go after, like you said, ShoAndTech, I would hope that they would include ear hooks, or maybe start the process of working on maybe memory foam or.
Dude, I like the sound of that, man. That's really nice. The only gripe I have is needing to adjust those earbuds. I can't get the right tips to fit my, ear fit just right. So they move, and they're not supposed to. I know they're supposed to squeeze in and fit well and seal, but for whatever reason, I've tried all, 3 or 4 tips, and I really can't get a solid fit.
Well, the reason why I don't think that they'll adjust that is because of these guys here. So I don't know if you guys have ever used these, but these ones actually have the ear hooks similar to like the Beats by Dre style. And when you put these on, they don't move at all. So no matter what it is you're doing, like running, hitting a heavy bag, whatever it might be, I found that no matter what, like I could shake my head as hard as I want to, and they're not moving. Whereas similar to what you said with the Air 2s, trying to run in those after a while, once you start sweating and everything, you do constantly have to be pushing them back in.
Yeah.
That and the fact that once your hands are sweaty, you can't really use the touch controls on them as well. So I see what you're saying, but I feel like that's why they came out with the Spirit X2s, was to address that like workout specific reasoning. And with those ones, no matter what ear tips I put in, it really doesn't even make a difference. That's how good the grip is on those. So
Yeah, I agree. It's good that they have a different market that they're focusing on, and workouts are probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, market to go after. As somebody who is a MMA trainer and fighter, I see a lot of people using Power Beats, using Beats, Solo Pros, things, obviously of the culture, but also workout headphones like Under Armour. So it makes sense. And as somebody like myself who trains at the gym constantly, I'm always looking for earbuds that are nice and small. They go in hook, or if I'm going to take a pair of over-ear headphones that are just, clamped on, they're not going to move. So I do appreciate that, and I like that the Soundcore is going towards that. But we'll have to wait and see. We will see what happens when they release their new pairs, hopefully soon. You guys know me. I'm a big fan of Soundcore, despite our differences. Not you, Sean, just because you know the history. You know the old gripe. But despite it, I'm a huge fan, and I always look forward to whatever the products they make. So be on the lookout for ShoAndTech's review. I will, again, leave his live reaction in the description. Again, you can check out his video of the Q30s. And, all right, let's move right on to our story. So first story up, let's go a little Apple. So, Sneed, you are a repairer of some kind of Apple. Now, I want to ask you, of repairs, what is the most popular Apple product that you have to repair? I think we all know the answer.
It's the iPhone.
Okay, now, have you ever repaired a Mac or attempted to repair a Mac?
Yeah, I've done some things with Macs. Typically battery replacements. Sometimes there'll be some stuff going on the board that I could replace. Sometimes those the connectors, the chargers, those will melt.
Hmm.
They heat up pretty bad. Usually it's the thinner devices. So the airs, they're just not, they're engineered to look nice or be thin. They're just not built well when it comes to actually serving the purpose as a machine.
Hmm.
So I have problems with MacBooks.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fair. You are a repair service, so you know. Would you classify yourself as third party?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how does Apple treat their third parties based on what we've seen, news and reports?
So what's really crazy about third party is third party will fix the stuff that they are unwilling to fix. They will encourage and sometimes even coerce their customers into replacing, hardware unnecessarily. Say, for example, something happened on part of the board and it could be replaced, minimally sometimes. They'll encourage them to just, hey, we'll take this in, we'll give you a credit, buy the new one. And it's just wrong because those people just really need a repair as opposed to a replacement. It's bad for the environment, first of all, and the second of all, it's bad for people's pockets to have to come up unnecessarily beyond maybe $100 or $150 repair, and they can keep their $1,500, $2,000 machine going for another couple years. But the thing is they are trying to hide behind a shield that they're the only ones that you could trust to repair their stuff. You can only do it through us. We're the only people who have the authority, the know-how, and the skills to do it. But what I've learned is that there are people out there who are willing and able to repair the stuff that Apple doesn't want to and doesn't deem profitable. Right. So to them, they're like, oh, well, we'll just give you this new one, buy this new one because it's better for their pocket, but it's not better for the customer on any level.
Mm.
So we have trouble getting Apple manufactured parts. We want that stuff. The third party repair specialists want Apple parts, original OEM parts, and they won't give them to us. We have to recycle other machines that have good parts that are, getting decommed, and we try to use Apple parts because when we start using China brand and off brand and unbranded, those things aren't guaranteed. There's no warranty. We really don't want to use those. That's last resort. I always try to do that, try to recycle what I can, but it's a problem. We'd love to do more, but they really get in our way.
All right, I hear your concerns, and I completely understand where you're coming from because you're right. It's been proven, evidence is out there. So, well, I will say to you, this year has been an interesting turning point, and actually the end of last year, because at the beginning of last year or the end of last year, they were saying Apple has finally accepted and opened third parties like repair shops and finally working with third parties. Of course, there are going to be some restrictions and, of course, some appliances to go to that, but they are willing to now work with third parties in terms of helping get the parts or certain pieces that they need now coming from the manufacturer. And because of that, and also because of their Macs as well, it seems that the Macs and service businesses have now hit a brand new record in Q4. And, of course, wow. I have to disclaim, there is no iPhone 12 sales that are going into factor here. Taking a look at the number is $64.7 billion of revenue and earnings per share of the 73 cents in a quarter. That is led by an all-time record for Macs and services, according to CEO Tim Apple, a.k.a. Tim Cook. Now, as we know, Apple is heading in a direction where the iPads are going to be the best sellers as their profits have gone up by 46%. Also, shout out Ciova. We've got Tim in the house. Good to see you guys on.
What's up, boys?
Apple iPad services have gone up by 46%, and a lot of people are buying into iPads rather than a Mac. But seeing as they have now shifted their attention to work with third parties, and also their new ARM-based CPUs are on the way for their newer Macs, I have to ask the question, does this change anything for Apple's positioning of how they treat the third parties, how they're positioning the Macs? And also, I would ask all of you, if you are a Mac user, which I believe myself, ShoAndTech, and I, if we could speak on this, do you feel confident enough to say that Apple's Mac services are going to finally open the doors for more possibilities in the coming future? With that said, I will let Sneed go first, and then we will let Zero RF, and then ShoAndTech.
So the business aspect of that, I mean, that's a pretty nice percentage. It's never really been something I think that Apple has targeted in their earnings. You know, it's not something like this quarter we're going to focus on repairs. I don't think they've ever really done that. So they're probably pleasantly surprised by this. That's really good. I don't know if there's a correlation. Like you said, they kind of are changing their business policies. I mean, I guess we could speculate on it. I don't know. Maybe there's a correlation, but I'd be interested to hear what the other guys have to say, because I don't know. It almost feels like a shot in the dark. Maybe it had something to do with it. I don't know.
Okay, fair. Zero Cool, go ahead.
I like this. I do. I mean, this is great for. I mean, it's great for third parties. It's great, you know, that this puts more trust in Apple. Meaning, you know, it's you're not, you know, you're not gonna have to like.
Lost you.
I think we lost you. Mic disconnected or something.
Yeah. Reconnect.
Okay. But in the meantime, ShoAndTech, you got anything you want to say while we wait for him to repair?
I think overall, I've just been interested in seeing what this whole ARM lineup is going to be about. Like, I know they've been sort of trying to hype it up as if it's going to be this whole kind of new, I don't want to say rebranding, but it almost is, where, you know, this is going to be, at least the way I see it, this is a way for Apple to kind of double up on everything that they've done before, because they're going to be attracting new buyers who say, you know, I want to see what Apple can do when they're totally in charge of their manufacturing and all of their services. And they're going to have people who already own Macs and bought Macs even this year, like someone like myself, who I just bought a new Mac Pro, my first one. And it's like, as soon as I buy that, now I know that there's going to be new ones coming out. So then I'm going to try to be buying to move up to that as well and see how it is. So I'm interested to see what direction they actually go in, and whether or not this was just kind of a ploy to get people to continue buying their products. Like, I didn't want to bring it up tonight, but it kind of reminds me of the whole, you know, shipping iPhone 12s with no charger, and then saying we're doing it for the environment. But then the charger cable they give you isn't compatible with the chargers that you would already own. So then you got to go buy their charger and a MagSafe, and you buy the MagSafe and it doesn't come with a brick. Mm-hmm. So it's just like they're creating ways to get people to keep buying stuff under the guise that, you know, they're trying to provide better business and better services, but it doesn't seem that way to me. So I just kind of want to sit back quietly in the corner and watch how it all unfolds.
Yeah, I think I'm going to join you in that corner. I think I'm going to have to make room for one more. But yeah, this is a good sign. This is actually, I like this, because for a while, Macs haven't really been considered a cornerstone for Apple, even though it started with the Macintosh, and that's really where the history of Apple begins. They haven't really made up a lot of sales in the past few decades, since maybe early 2000s. That was when they really peaked from when the time they debuted with the other versions and various Macs, they really didn't have the biggest sales. And now with the iPhone, the iPad, and so many other products, the Mac kind of just sits in the back, just kind of collecting dust. But now that they've opened up the third-party dealers and they're working a little bit more fairly, they're taking less percentages from what I'm hearing on service repairs with authorized retail services. And the fact that now the Macs have a brand new boost in sales, it could also be because a lot more people are buying into the Mac Mini. Some people could also be buying into the MacBook Air, or maybe there's something we don't know. But I will say that a lot of people like to customize. A lot of people like custom PCs. I really wish the Macs would give you that option to change, or I think they give you the option to change RAM, maybe storage, depending on a version of Mac that you own.
You can upgrade some specs, yeah.
You can upgrade some. And I think the Mac Pro, the iMac Pro and other Pros, I think the Pro models are more customizable. So that's a good sign. But I would wish that they would upgrade, like, for example, the MacBook Pro 17-inch and 15 inches, the RAM is soldered onto the motherboard. To me, that should not be soldered on. I don't agree with that. I mean, it's debatable, but if you're a pro level end laptop, if you're showing off to the pros, if you're going to sell me a Mac Pro that I can customize, change the RAM, change the configuration, but then you want to sell me a laptop that's supposed to be pro and I can't change even the RAM in that, then I got a problem. But that's just me.
No, that's definitely a turn off to some people. I think that's a valid concern. People would like to go from 16 to 32 gigs of RAM and so on, and that's not an intrusive thing to do. Like, that's a pretty simple and straightforward upgrade.
Hometown PC, he is not an Apple fan. He does not like. He says he prefers PC when it comes to computers.
Some tells me he knows what he's doing, bro.
Of course,
I think he's got a business or something.
He's got something going. But real quick, then we'll move right on to the iPad Air, because I actually have a few questions I would like to ask our show and tech. The last thing I want to mention about the Macs is that with the new ARM-based CPUs, this could also boost the Macs up to a new level of performance, as we've seen with the iPad Pros, the Apple iPhones. I don't know why I called it the Apple iPhone, but you guys know where I'm going with that. We could see a boost in a lot of areas that the Macs really haven't been able to be capable of, either because Apple had to throttle certain things because they don't work with Intel as well. Who knows the story? But in-house CPUs, better customizations, etc. That to me is a good start and a good way to go. You dig?
I dig it.
There we go. I love it. Okay, I'm not trying to be mean. You remind me of Vincent Price when you're just sitting there with the hands. He's like, but real quick, let's talk about the iPad Air, and then we'll move on to our next story. The reason I have the Apple website pulled up is because the iPad Airs have just recently gone on sale. They are available for shipment now. If you buy them, they are $5.99. They come in a variety of choices. They basically are the iPad Pro, except with a few things here and there. But the biggest one is USB-C charging. A lot of people are digging into the USB-C. As you can see, it finally comes with USB-C. It comes with the brand new 20-watt Apple brick, which for some reason, they decided to make MagSafe perfectly compatible, but not with third-party bricks. We'll find that out later. But interestingly enough, this is the first Apple product that shipped with the A14 Bionic, or at least they held off shipping till the iPhones came out, reportedly. So, Show and Tech, I believe you have an iPad Air. I believe you've been using it.
Yeah, I've got. I bought the iPad Pro 12.9 inch in March or April, whenever that might have been. Maybe even May, whenever it was. And I saw that the iPad Air was dropping. I liked the aesthetic. I liked that it essentially looked like the iPad Pro from 2018, which is actually what I wanted to buy instead of the 2020 version. So I figured I would take the plunge, see if maybe I could use the Air and replace my Pro. So sell the Pro and kind of go back down to a smaller form factor. And it's definitely got a lot of things that I like. And it kind of sets you up for an understanding of what to expect with the iPad Pro 2021 or 2022, whenever they decide to do another iteration. Overall, it's really good. I just think that the features that they took away from the Pro in order to make this Air are definitely features that the majority of people can live without. So the only thing that you're losing, number one, would be ProMotion. So for those who want the 120 hertz refresh rate, you're not going to get that on the Air. But at the same time, on the Pro, it's not like it's locked in at 120. So the refresh rate kind of changes based on what you're doing. It goes up as high as 120 and drops as low as 30, depending on the activity. So if you're scrolling through Twitter, it'll ramp up to 120, but the second you close Twitter and you're on your home screen, for example, it'll drop back down to 30. So if you're going to buy the Air and you don't care about refresh rates, and honestly, I've put both of my iPads side by side and scroll through Twitter, and you really don't notice that much of a difference, or maybe I just don't have pro eyes. I don't know. That's number one. Number two, unless you've used the iPads that are 12.9 inches, so the really big ones, this also won't bother you. But on the Air, I just find that the user interface definitely wasn't meant for smaller screens. So once you've used the UI on like a 12.9 inch Apple iPad, it's very hard to go back to a smaller size. So you've got things bunching up on your screen, the multitasking, for example, rather than have two full-size apps open side by side, it kind of gives you a dumbed down, minuscule version of each, and you can't really get much done. So just those little kind of nitpicks, but for the price, if you're just trying to get in and grab an iPad, then the Air is a great buy, super high value, able to do all of the tasks that I do on my Pro. So editing videos in LumaFusion, editing photos from my camera using Lightroom, all that stuff has no problem. Compatible with the Apple Pencil 2, compatible with the Magic Keyboard. Like it's a really, really good buy. It's just I kind of spoiled myself by using the 12.9 inch first and then trying to go back down to a smaller form factor. It's just very difficult to do. So if they come out with an iPad Air 12.9, then I'm in all the way. I just know that they absolutely won't do that.
That's fair. For me, I kind of like the 11-inch. I've always been, I think for me 11-inch is big enough. But if you say if that's true, then I'll probably have to give the 12.9 inch a shot when the time comes. But yeah, you're right. So I've seen a lot of people talk about the iPad Air, and then I'll let you guys chime in. Then we'll move on. Zero Cool RF I believe, is still setting up. So you take your time, no rush. The thing for me that kind of sold me, a couple of things. They not only did they remove Face ID, but they replaced it with something, in my opinion, that kind of sets up a future budget-end iPhone Touch ID on the side of the home button. So that kind of gives us our indication of a notchless budget phone. Hashtag iPhone SE Plus. I'm calling it right now. I'm calling it right now. Mark this day. But regardless, I agree with you. It is something that I am accustomed to. I have the 11-inch 2018 iPad Pro. The price point to me feels just about right. Even though it's 64 gigabytes, I've looked at myself. I've only used like 20 gigabytes. So for most people, I think for a tablet, unless you're using iCloud and other things, maybe 64 is the way to go. But if you're a heavy end user, you can go 256. But the thing I like about the iPad Air is the USB-C integration. They really kind of did it right, even though it sucks that Apple isn't including a charging brick and also didn't switch to USB-C on the phones, but doesn't really matter at this point. They've got MagSafe coming. But regardless, I like that they're slowly moving the iPad lineup to USB-C, because if you guys real quickly take a look at the lineup, so 2 iPads with USB-C, 2 of them that don't. Eventually, they're going to move these iPads slowly to USB-C. It's going to be a gradual process, but eventually we will get to that point where all the iPads will use USB-C, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. USB-C is not a profitable port for Apple. It's a universal port where everybody can use it. There's nothing proprietary about it. There's nothing there that Apple can profit off of. What they can profit off of are accessories made with USB-C, hence MagSafe. It's a proprietary technology with the magnetic coils, the 15 watts, and all that stuff. But regardless, I still believe that introducing USB-C to iPads is another smart and valuable way to get users into the USB-C integration. Because most Apple users, whether people like it or not, the first time you've heard of USB-C was the Mac, then the iPad. So this is a good way for people that want a tablet close to the Pro, but just don't like the hefty price tag, but you get USB-C on there, and you do get most of the features. So that's kind of what I like.
So this begs the question: why are the iPads good enough for USB-C? Why aren't the phones good enough for USB-C?
Because I've said it before, and I have said it again, Sneedle. It is because Lightning is a proprietary port. Apple charges every maker, every smartphone accessory maker. It charges them, I believe the percentage is 30%, maybe 22% of profits from each cable they make with the Lightning port. MFI certifications, they have to certify those cables through Apple. They could charge per certification. So they make more money off Lightning accessories, not just the port itself.
It makes no difference. They're going to be selling those cables out of their stores at a higher clip. If they just adopted USB-C, they would sell more USB-C cables in their stores and online, and to people for their MagSafe and Mag chargers and it would be fine. I think the Lightning cable, they just didn't want to go to USB-C because of timing, because they're moving away, they're going portless. right? Or else I
You're right.
really, if they weren't going portless, they were definitely going to go USB-C eventually, like
You're
maybe
right.
next year
You're
or something like that. But honestly, bro, seriously, Apple made a huge mistake going with lightning cable. It's a slow connection. It's been a horrible time charging iPhones for the better part of the last decade. I mean, as soon as the batteries got over 1,500 milliamp hours, charging an iPhone sucks. That little thing that came in the box all those years, that's why Apple was cool not putting a charger in there, because they were giving you junk anyways. All they did was save you from throwing that thing around at somebody or your little kid chewing on it. You know what I'm saying? Seriously, it's a
No,
garbage brick.
you're right.
It's a garbage charging solution, but whatever, you know, and now they're moving on from it. Thank goodness.
Go ahead.
Check real quick.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
we hear you. Just a little low, that's all.
Just a little low, yeah. Anybody want to respond to that?
Oh,
Good
man,
good
understood.
riddance, lightning cable, bro. Good riddance.
Yeah, you know what? Hashtag rip lightning. It was cool when it first came out, but then after it was like, yeah,
It was never cool. It was better. It was better than the USB.
Micro.
What was that? Mike. Oh, what a nightmare, bro. One side different than the other. Oh, terrible.
That's why lightning was cool when it came out.
Right,
Micro
right.
was the only charger at the time. But you know what? You're right. They would sell more. They would do a lot, and MagSafe is proven to be an example. They have USB-C at the end and MagSafe on the top. But again, if they put it on the main phone, they can't sell those lightning accessories, and it's hard to explain, but at the end of the day, it's going away next year. No lightning port. It's gone. Whatever. Goodbye. Good riddance. Rest in peace. Go to the graveyard. Scratch. Move on.
Hey, ShoAndTech, best Apple product, the iPad.
Coming from a non-iPhone user, I would say 100%. Like it gets you. It's just like the best in between. So I don't need an iPhone and I don't need a Mac. I can just buy an iPad right in between, and you kind of get everything.
That's right, brother.
And zero cool RF.
Is this my audio good? Better?
A little more louder, I think.
What?
We don't. I think we're hearing your webcam mic.
Yeah, it might be the webcam. You want to take a few moments?
No.
Yeah, you're loud now because you're
webcam.
closer to the webcam.
It's the webcam. You want to take a few moments? I'll put you backstage, and then we'll bring you in when you're ready.
Yeah.
All right. You take your moment. Take your time. All right. So now we're going to move away from Apple. Now, real quickly, guys, this is not a story. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but we need a moment of silence, people. We need you a few moments just to bow your head as we add another Google service to the graveyard of Google Graveyard. I am, of course, talking about Google Play Music.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia. Moving right on. So OnePlus 9. We are already starting up the rumors on OnePlus 9, and already the first rumor up because we had to talk cellular in there, and we will be getting to cellular, Sneed. So you'll have look at it this way. ShoAndTech, let me tell you something about me and Sneed. And I don't know how you are. You probably fall into the same category. But when it comes to tech hardware and software and practical consumer-based stuff, I'm kind of at home territory. But when it comes to cellular, when it comes to band information, LTE, 5G, cellular connectivity, my man's like Max Kellerman on HBO talking boxing. He's in his element. I'm Stephen A. He's Max when it comes to those territories.
Man, that sucks, bro. Max is the worst.
He was good.
He does
though
know
at
boxing.
boxing.
He does know boxing.
He was really good. But anyway, so the OnePlus 9, again, this is another device. So as you guys know, this is going to be the first phone under the new CEO. This is going to be the new direction of OnePlus. This phone is projected to have, again, 5G, but this time sub-6 and millimeter wave. It will be hyping along the bandwagon of the Apple 5G movement. But also, it will be picked up by Verizon and T-Mobile. Now, as you know, T-Mobile was the only one that picked up the AT. Not really anybody picked up the Verizon. So I have a question to both of you. We'll have to see how Zero Cool RF comes in. But the question I want to ask, now that Verizon will be picking up the OnePlus 9, is it showing that the T-Series phones are not really the main phones that they're looking for? They are just looking for the regular standard once-a-year phone. Is that any vibe you're getting? And also the 5G aspect. What do you guys see from this when you hear this? And Sneed Mobile Tech can go first.
So the The OnePlus 8 and 8T were available at T-Mobile in the carrier stores. The OnePlus 8 is available at both T-Mobile and Verizon. So Verizon skipped the 8T. T-Mobile got the 8 and the 8T. So but T-Mobile also has a better relationship with OnePlus, right? It's pretty strong. It goes back the longest, I think, to the 6T possibly. So it goes back a few years. They also provided the OnePlus 7 McLaren edition. Was it the T McLaren?
Yep.
So that sold really well because it was one of those phones that was like T-Mobile's first 5G device outside of the S10 Plus 5G, which didn't sell and whatever. They have a pretty good relationship, I think, and T-Mobile's a big enough carrier now that they consumed Sprint, where they could probably sell the most units for OnePlus. I don't think OnePlus is made to move in a Verizon store. Those customers typically are looking at brands they recognize. You know, it's mostly a Samsung store. It's an Apple store. You know, they do move Google a little bit. They have a decent relationship, but it's hard to overcome that. OnePlus is learning the hard way that the wireless market in the United States is built in carrier stores, and it's hard to compete with Samsung and Apple, and it's mostly Apple. You know, you're going to have a hard time prying people away from Samsungs. Google's learned that, and I think OnePlus is learning it also. Because I always call OnePlus an almost Google phone, an almost Samsung phone. It's somewhere in between, you know, and it's an enthusiast phone. You know, they just, bro, I'm telling you, ask 10 people. Have you heard of the company OnePlus? 10 random people. The next 10 people you see, you might get one. You might. You might go 20 before you get one. Like it's that much of a discrepancy when you think of mind share. And you know, if you do that same 10 people, 7 out of 10 probably have an iPhone. You know, a couple have Galaxies, and then throw in your rando. You know, they'll be like, they go either a OnePlus or a Google phone or something like that. It's just there's just no movement, man. You know, I feel bad for OnePlus for trying so hard, and they just can't crack this North American market, even though their phones are pretty good. You know, they're priced well and they're competitive when it comes to specs and power. It's hard to get through, man, and that's why they're trying to build these relationships with the carriers. They're probably saying, "Give us some floor space, give us a sign in front of your store, advertise our product, help us." Right? And Verizon's like, we're trying. We can't sell your stuff, dude.
And I will say real quick, and then I'll let Zero Cool RF, because I feel bad that he's been having so much problems. I'll let him go. You know, you think, you know, OnePlus, you know, they're the most reputable brands from some of the top YouTubers in the tech world. They're paying these guys to literally say these are the best Android phones.
That's a different problem. We need to talk about one of these days.
We'll talk about, you know what? I'll save that for your podcast. I will do it for yours. But I will say, you know, they're paying these people. They paid Robert Downey Jr. to dance in a backlot for a commercial, and it still didn't. They're paying Marcus, Dave 2D, Jonathan. They're paying everybody, and it's not working. And of course, I'm just joking. They don't actually pay anybody.
Right.
But you get what I'm saying. They're trying to make the push, and it's not working. So Zero Cool RF, let me hear what you got to say.
Yeah, I'm on my phone now, so I'm gonna throw my audio interface away. I'm chucking in the trash. I don't know what's going on with it, but no, I think the OnePlus 9. I think this is good. I can see it, you know, selling pretty good at Verizon as well at T-Mobile. I think the more, you know, OEMs that we have in the game, the better. I hope OnePlus will have, you know, all the bands. You know, they've been leaving out a couple of number of bands, you know, on, you know, when they release phones. We really need that, you know, with the whole 5G, you know, taking off and stuff like that. So I just hope they do justice. And I know, see, the good thing about OnePlus is that they listen to, you know, their fan base, their customer base. They listen to it, and they usually improve upon their phones pretty well when they listen to the customers. So I just hope, you know, from a network perspective, they include all the bands, and that the phone has good RF and stuff like that if they for the OnePlus 9.
All right, ShoAndTech.
I can't really speak too much for, well, first of all, Verizon and T-Mobile, because being in Canada, we don't have either of those options. So I always hear about the back and forth between the two, and for me, I don't really know too much about it. But as far as OnePlus goes, Sneed's comment about asking 10 people about it, whether or not they've heard of it or not, is hilarious to me. I know it's a little bit off topic, but my little brother is like the biggest OnePlus fan out there. He loves all of their phones. And every time we have a family function, barbecue, whatever, he'll pull out his phone and people are like, "What is that?" He's like, "It's the OnePlus, whatever." And they're like, "What? What is what? What's it called?"
What kind of math is that, bro? Like, what is that?
Yeah,
It's a paradox.
OnePlus, what? So my older brother, actually, he convinced him, and he got it was a OnePlus 8 Pro, and he only held on to it for a week before jumping over to a Note 20 Ultra. So it's interesting that they try so hard, and I know they make pretty good phones and they get good publicity by all the YouTubers, like we were just saying, but it's a hard market to crack, and it's definitely a phone for, as you were saying, phone enthusiasts. Like, they come out with all these, and I don't want to call them gimmicks, because 90 hertz and 120 hertz refresh rates, those aren't gimmicks per se. Like, they're actually useful features that, I guess, enhance the overall experience. But at the end of the day, they don't do anything but drain your battery. So when your whole platform kind of hinges upon these power, like S tier type features, you're not going to pull people away from something that's tried, tested, and true, like iMessage. Like, that's all people care about. Does my text show up blue or green? And that makes people happy. And then you got your Samsung users where, like, is it a Note? Does it have a stylus? No, then I don't care. Like, it's such a weird market right now for cell phones where, no matter what OnePlus does, they're always going to be behind. I feel like that you're just too late for anybody, really. If your name's not Apple or Samsung, you're kind of already at the back of the race.
They've also increased their pricing
That
slowly
too.
but surely. So their advantage was in price point. That gap has closed. It's gotten more flagship than flagship killer. That was their thing. Like, we're going to sell you a phone 40% cheaper than a Samsung or an iPhone. That's just not the case anymore. Their phone is now as expensive or the same or more expensive than an iPhone, right? And I mean, Samsung is crazy for what they're selling their phones for, which I think is one of the reasons why more people are even moving towards Apple more than ever. Apple has changed their price points, which is smart. Now their volume is absurd, right? Their market share was tremendous then. It's just getting better. The thing, you talked about the competition, like, Zero Caller F talked about it, and they do make nice phones. ShoAndTech, your brother's right. The phones are nice. But it's the one thing that I see is their online presence is great. When you got Marquez and all these people putting you out in YouTube videos doing commercials for OnePlus, there's no OnePlus commercials on TV. And United States, at least, ShoAndTech, you kind of give your perspective on the Canadian side of things. But in the US, the consumer that buys at a wireless carrier watches the commercial, and then at the end, there's a wireless provider. Verizon, AT&T, at the very end, at Verizon, at AT&T, at T-Mobile.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have any of that. There is no TV commercial. So you have an online presence where the enthusiasts are going to see you, but you already have them. You're marketing to the people that are already buying your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You don't market to them. You market to the new consumers that have not looked at your product yet, have never heard of your business name, don't know your brand.
Can I just say one thing real quick, and then I'll let you go, because I'm not going to say anything on this. But you're right. I wanted to just add on that a lot of people criticize me for calling out OnePlus as well, like this, because they say that you keep forgetting that they are so popular in Europe. I'm like, well, guess what? I live in America. I live in the United States. I need to focus on my region. They wanted to come here, so don't tell me think of the other people.
Well, it was an unexplored market. It was an
because we
unexplored
get
market.
they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine in the other places. But when it comes to here, the place they wanted to be, and they bragged about it, they're like, we're coming for it. and now they're here and they haven't made a dent, you can see why. And just real quick, and then I'll let you guys go ahead. We talk about, the big YouTubers getting the big push and it's not doing anything. I'm starting to think Samsung's falling under that line, because if you go on the Samsung shop, they're literally putting up for the Note 20 Ultra expert review, futuristic. And then for the tab line, if you go on the tab line, they're putting up Marcus's videos saying expert reviews for their tabs, because we all know how their sales are doing. So I think they're falling in the tanking a little bit on the sales. So they got to push these guys. But go ahead. You guys go ahead.
It's funny to me because I was someone who wouldn't buy a new phone every year. So kind of when you sit back and just watch the way the market goes, I really have to applaud Apple for what they did, where they slowly ramped up their prices, but you could tell that they were playing the long plan the whole time, where we slowly ramp these up and then everybody's going to come up with their prices to meet us, and then we drop it back down, and then we're going to bring up this mid-tier market and basically wash everybody out from the middle up and the middle down. So now they're at this place where, as we mentioned, Samsung's charging outrageous prices. OnePlus, and to speak to our perspective here in Canada, when we see OnePlus advertisements on YouTube, whatever it is, the first thing that we see is the American dollar value, and the Canadian dollar is very weak. So when you get excited about it, like, oh, OnePlus, yes, nice, relatively cheap phone for a flagship, I jump on the oneplus.ca website and it's automatically $250, $300 more than what you guys are seeing. Right. Now you're getting even less people from different markets to try to jump in. Right. And then when you go and look at people overseas across the pond, it's even worse. Mm-hmm. So when they came in as flagship killers, that was their only shot at getting a share of the market. And I think they were doing so well at that, but they kind of jumped the gun. They should have waited a little bit longer, 5 more years, 10 more years to get a really good share, and then just offer different tiers. Don't just automatically jump up all the prices, because then you're going to have people saying, well, why should I pay you more money when I can go get this Apple phone and I know what Apple's capable of, right? And I know that this Apple phone is going to be supported for X amount of years. And like, you can say what you want to say about Apple. Like I said, I'm not really an iPhone user, but I know that my old SE from way back in the day is still running the latest software and running it well, right? Like, they support their product. So it's, like I said, it's an interesting market to watch. And I just feel for those smaller companies who came in with the best intentions and then kind of lost it somewhere along the way, where it became about maximizing profit, which, to be fair, that's how it should be. But they got roped around by Apple for sure. Like, there's no way around that.
But think about how these market segments are. Apple's product, the iPhone, had matured. There were no new customers, right? It was people upgrading their devices, which is good. People upgrade every couple years, so they had them. But they're like, maybe Android manufacturers have something. They've got like a low end and they have like a mid range. As soon as Apple did that, they killed the pandemic. They made money during the pandemic by selling an iPhone for $399. Right? So they actually created a new market they had never penetrated before. That was brilliant. Like, that was really all they had left to do, because they have the premium with their Pro. It sells. They have the regular one, right? We'll call that a flagship.
I'm sorry. Look at this comment from Speed Testing. Tip: hope you never have to deal with OnePlus support. They are straight from China and have trouble understanding what you say. Is that, do we need more signs to kind of like point, we know where this is going? Like, and also he follows up, OnePlus has some of the worst customer service of a phone manufacturer. And even, look, Melvin even agrees. So,
wow. Do
we need to say any more?
And then think about iPhone. Like, you literally go into a store where they service everything. Apple Care it's a gift from smartphone gods. You go in with any problem, they either replace your phone or they fix it, and it's software, hardware, the whole shebang. They got you covered, and everything's American, or I'm sure there are stores in all of the major cities in Canada. I'm guessing Toronto, Quebec, Montreal, like, they have Apple stores for sure. So yeah, you're covered. There's no shipping a phone to, I don't even know, dude. What are you sending it to Shenzhen? Like that'd be crazy,
No, some of these phones, I will say, because I've used Apple Care a lot, and for myself, I usually swap batteries. Whenever my warranty's about to expire, I just get the battery swapped. It's covered under warranty, and Apple. I will say this: the only time I question Apple Care is when I bring it to the store. But when I ship it out and they ship it back, I don't question it at all, because when they ship it out, it's either they're going to give you a new device or they actually do the job properly. In the store, they mess up purposely. And I know this because I've done 2 phone repairs, and both of them ended up the same result.
Wait a minute. You know that I repair iPhones and you have never shipped them to me?
They were under warranty.
Okay. All right.
But when they're out of warranty, they'll be going to you.
Send them over, dude. I got you, man.
But yeah, real quick, and then I want to move on from this. Last final follow-up question, and then you guys can have at it, because I don't think I really need to say much on this. But let's say OnePlus, the 9, let's say they kind of fix some of the things they need to fix. Because right now the problem that I see with OnePlus is that they just cannot crack the American market. So what do you, besides marketing, besides trying to get pushes from YouTubers and carriers, and instead of just trying to put in high-end specs and crap, and we agree Apple kind of really did the smart thing in a way with the market. But the last question I would ask you guys is, what is it about OnePlus in America that just it didn't click? And we all thought, because I'm not gonna lie to you, a lot of people in the beginning really thought that OnePlus was gonna be that they thought it was gonna be that one brand that was going to be the best in America. So what is it about the American market that they just cannot seem to overcome? And also, if you want to add in Canada, I would love to add in Canada. It's good perspective as well, ShoAndTech.
Sure.
Go ahead, ShoAndTech or Zero Cool RF, whoever wants to go first.
For me, it's just it's a timeline thing. It's just unfortunate at what point OnePlus kind of started to emerge. And like I said before, it's also a factor of when they decided to make their push from flagship killer to flagship device. You can't jump into the market and proclaim yourself a flagship device and start charging premium pricing when the majority of people don't know who you are. Like, I'm trying to, like, it's almost like if I went to go buy a pair of shoes, because everybody knows about Jordans. Yes. And I had a pair of fresh Jordans to buy, and those are $200. And then some guy named, I don't know, Joe Johnson put up his shoe, who no one knows who Joe Johnson is, but he's like, look, man, I'm charging $350 for these, and they're better than Jordans. You're going to love them. I'm going to go with the thing that I know every time. So if there's no advertisements that I'm seeing other than on YouTube by a guy whose job it is just to review tech, like Marquez, no offense at all. Like, the guy does fantastic work, but at the end of the day, I know that his job is to review tech and he likes to see all the bleeding edge stuff. So if OnePlus has anything bleeding edge in it, 120 hertz, 240 hertz refresh rate, he's going to love it. And that's not enough to convince some guy off the street who's upgrading from his BlackBerry Curve from 2007, who just wants to get a new smartphone. Like, he doesn't even know what that means, 240 hertz or whatever it might be, or like super fast charge. All these fancy names, like, no one knows or really cares about that. And I always think of it as like the mom and pop test, where when I'm trying to convince my parents of something to upgrade to a phone, and I say, Dad, you're going to love this, the refresh rate, and it charges X amount in 30 minutes. He doesn't give a damn. He's like, can I text on it? Cool. Does it take nice photos? Yes. Can I use WhatsApp? Perfect. Like, that's all that matters. So you need to target those people. And I feel like that's where they fell off, is trying to target people in the wrong cast. You're going after the wrong set of people. Go after the ones that you originally intended to go after in the mid to lower tier, and give them some of those specs that come from those high-end phones, but at a reasonable price. Like, that's all that you have to do to convince people who don't care about all these fancy names and super fast charging and whatever else they have to offer. Like, it's the same song every year, It's the same song with every iteration of their phone. Nobody cares. Just give me something that works. And when I need support, as we were saying in the chat, support me. That's it. Like, it's really not that difficult. And I can't speak for America and how it goes on over there, but we have zero OnePlus advertising over here. So it's a wonder that my brother even found it way back in the day and could be a fan of them, because I don't know a single other person in my family or friend group that uses a OnePlus device.
All right. Zero cool.
I think ShoAndTech hit the nail on the head. It's advertising. OnePlus does not advertise enough. They don't advertise. Think about it. They don't advertise as much as Samsung or Apple. I mean, Samsung, you see a Samsung commercial just as much, or if not more, as you see a wireless ad commercial on TV, right? You know, when you every time that I see a Samsung commercial on a TV, I think it's just, you know, like a luxury phone, like not a spec, like nothing out of place. You know, like it's pristine, it's glossy, it's like advertising a new pair of, you know, designer clothes or something. But the problem with OnePlus is they just don't advertise enough. They don't advertise in the right places. They don't do it enough. I think if they would put more of their muscle, you know, swing a little bit from R&D over to the advertising, I think they would get further ahead. So, you guys like the Boom Boom Room?
Oh, haha, very funny.
It's slick, right? I was watching him like, what does he have going on over there, man? Got some stuff connected to the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I found out what was wrong with my audio interface. I took it apart. It's a burnt board.
Oh, so it's flawed.
Yeah, but I'm getting a different one anyways. So
nice, get that thing returned, man.
I'm gonna just shoot it and chuck it in the trash. That's all.
So, are we ready to move on from OnePlus?
Yeah, man.
All right, next story. We have a little update. So I talked a little while on my last show. So remember there was an issue. Tito, our friend Aloha Android, again, shout out to Tito. He had told us about an issue going on about the Pixel 5 gap screen. He even himself said he noticed something like that. And a lot of people were kind of wondering, why was this happening? Is this a defect? What is it? Well, it turns out that there was a teardown video made. Again, this video is available on YouTube. You can check it out for yourselves. And we have narrowed down the problem. We have narrowed down. And also, just want to say shout out ShoAndTech. That was his last segment. So I would like to thank ShoAndTech for coming on. He had a little bit of rush. But again, we appreciate him for coming on. So once again, everybody, that was ShoAndTech. Check him out. Great YouTuber. Hopefully, we will see him again soon. But anyway, we're down to 3 men. So you guys ready? And if this is your territory, we're heading into your territory after this, guys. So
Hey.
Hoped for you guys to stay on. But anyway, so the issue has been found. The reports of the screen gap issue and starting to pop out is due to a heat dissipation problem in the Pixel 5. During the teardown, the user noticed that there was an addition of adhesive that was needed to pry open. And the problem with that adhesive that was wrapped around the sides of the Pixel 5 is that it needs to be up to a certain degree. Now, you guys know adhesive. It needs to be at a certain temperature to melt. Well, it also seems when he was putting the Pixel 5 5G and 4a again into these tests, it seems like the heat dissipation is lacking, and it's causing that adhesive to liquefy and causing the screen's panel to come up and causing it to make the rear non-water resistant as well. So basically, it's a heating
Makes
problem.
sense. Yeah.
So I want to ask you guys, what can OnePlus? Oh boy, the community is going to come after me in this video. But what should Google do? Should they recall any of these Pixel 5s? What should they do to kind of get this thing? Because this doesn't seem like it's going to be a few phones. This seems like it's going to be a lot of phones, because this is clearly a design issue. This is a faulty design. This is not something that's going to be maybe 1 or 2 phones. This is going to be hundreds, because if the adhesive is not applied properly, and if just a little amount of heat inside of this phone, because we know the 765G chipset is really heating up, they got to do something fast. So I'll ask you guys, we'll start with Steamable Tech and then Zero Cool. What does Google need to do?
They got to recall all of them, dude. You can't jeopardize quality control. I mean, your reputation for hardware is already being questioned. It's been questioned for several generations. This dates back, I don't know, dude. When did they start boot looping? With the LGs, or when did they start cracking in terms of the, the frame and the casing of the Nexus 6P? And the screen burn-in issues with the original Google Pixel, and then the horrible display performance from the 2XL, and more boot loop issues. They can't get right, man. And honestly, the fact that they're selling this phone as a lower price point, as a mid-ranger, it's almost not even worth that at this point. I mean, I don't have any issues right now. I don't know what exactly is going on. I'm watching it. I want to see if this happens with mine. But dude, they have issues like this. They may never recover. Consumers are already turning the other way when they hear that a new Pixel is launched, and they're like, okay, great camera, cool. It does nothing better than any other device manufacturer to them, right? And the iPhone, the iMessage, everything like that. And then, the Android enthusiast is a small segment. Your consumer base is tiny. I mean, what is the Google phone market share? Is it 2% of smartphone users in the US? There's no way it's more than 2 or 3%, because I simply do not find these phones anywhere. It's me, it's Caleb, it's you. Who else knows about these things other than us? It's a symptom of even that the OnePlus is facing. We just had this conversation, and now you're having quality control issues. Go lay down. You're done. They got to recall them all, fix them, figure it out quickly, and then hope for the best. But they might not make it, dude. They may never recover.
I think that Sneed's right. They need to do a complete recall on this. They need to because here's the thing, there's such things as hardware revisions of phones. You may see in your phone that says Rev 01, right, or Rev 02. Okay, that's basically what happens when a recall gets done. Google has the money to do a recall. Number one. Number two, this is a huge issue. If thank God, these screens don't burn your face when they flip up, right? So, I think Google needs to do the recall. I think they need to fix this heating issue. And there's another reason why I say this is because it's not just the screen. Yeah. So when you have the adhesive not dissipating the heat correctly, that could also lead to motherboard issues as well, sure. Right? So they definitely need to get it done and get it done quickly. They need to get it done quickly now, because if the longer they prolong this, that's going to lose more faith in the next year's Pixel 6 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you guys. The heat dissipation is going to lead to more, like you said, motherboard problems. It could even spill into, the antenna bands and ribbon cables and things into the phone itself. But real quick, a lot of people are already talking about the OnePlus. What the hell is going on with me tonight? I'm so sorry, guys. I cannot talk tonight. I'm sorry. I would say the Google Pixel 4a 5G. So that phone is coming out, and that only techies buy Pixel device. You're right. You're absolutely right. A lot of techies I know buy those. But I just want to say, a lot of people that have used the 765 chipset, they do say it does create a lot of heat. The 765G chipset and the modem set, it creates a lot of heat, not just for 5G, but because, it's not a flagship kind of level. It's trying to multitask to act like it, because it's kind of a mid-ranger, but it acts kind of like or trying to be like the flagship chipset. I don't know what it is, but I would follow up by asking, was it a mistake to put the 765G in, knowing the amount of heat? Because there are videos out there showing that this chipset causes a lot of heat.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so.
They're so in using the Pixel 5, as somebody who's had the phone for now an extended period of time, there is heat, but it's not abnormal heat. The problem is whatever the design flaw is in not being able to dissipate the heat properly. It's containing the heat, which is causing this problem probably. So, Zero Cooler F's talking about issues to the motherboard, complications with other parts. That's 100% true. The thing about it is, this phone was delayed. This phone was also scaled down as an off year. This may go down as one of the worst Google phones ever. And you know when we'll find out? In March when they launch the real flagship.
Ooh.
So, and here's why I say this. Google took shortcuts.
We got a premiere going. Somebody's doing double duty videos.
So the issue here is that the main issue is that Google is insensitive to what it really takes to be successful, and they're just not getting it. And that's going to be their problem moving forward. They don't get it. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take.
I don't know myself, but you know what? If they're going to have to recall these phones for that reason, it's a bad look on Google. Just when we thought they could finally have something going for them, this happens. And I'm going to say this right now. It all comes down to designs. It all comes down to the way the phone is designed. If you can't make a good design, then don't design it that way. But of course, most of these companies have to take that risk. And we all saw how that played out. And with that said, it seems like the SMT is out. So the SMT is gone. Now it is down to me and you, Zero Cool. So we want to thank Sneed Mobile Tech for joining. Are you going to bounce as well?
I'll stay on for a couple minutes.
Okay, so we got a few more stories. We're actually going to talk a little cellular, and then after I believe you can bounce, I'll take it from there. Next story up is Verizon and T-Mobile.
Yeah.
So let's start with Verizon. Now, this one doesn't really directly relate to Verizon, but it works under Verizon's prepaid, and it works under their network tower. I don't know how this is a thing, but I was requested specifically to cover this in a story, and I got to ask, why did you make me do this to the user? I'm not going to give his username out. Again, he wanted it private. He DM'd me. But John wants to substitute in. You want to substitute in? Hit me up on Twitter. I'll send you the link. Hit me up on Twitter at Technoid12, John. You could find me, and I'll get you the link. But according to a lot of users, I'm probably sure you've seen it, this is apparently a thing.
Yes, I did see that, and I thought ZTE was banned in the U.S., but apparently they're not. Thank God it's not a Huawei phone. So,
you know what? You're absolutely right. Thank God it's not a Huawei.
Yeah, I did see this story, and I just immediately swiped left.
I know. So
I just don't care.
You know what? I think we'll do the same. I think we will. I believe we are going to skip this story right away. That's for later. So next story up is T-Mobile expands iPhone 12 5G coverage to 200 more cities, or just 5G coverage in general. Terrible marketing of the name. Well, of course, this is 9 to 5 Max, so you would expect them to put iPhone in the title. But apparently, T-Mobile has expanded coverage up to 200 more cities, and Verizon is boosting 5G home internet. So apparently, beginning November 5th, 5G home internet will go to customers in Atlanta, Dallas, Denver, and San Jose. These are more cities going, with 19 additional U.S. cities and stadiums and airports launching nationwide 5G for Verizon. So I want to ask you real quick before we talk to T-Mobile, how do you feel Verizon is handling this 5G rollout process? How do you believe they're doing?
Really good. And it's just, here's the thing, that the 5G process, for the millimeter wave, they're expanding. I keep on saying this time and time again. I keep on saying this time and time again. They're expanding to where they need the most capacity. Okay, so where's the most capacity? Those high capacity markets is Dallas, San Jose, right, and so on. And not only that, here's what Verizon's strategically doing. They're also placing their fixed LTE home service, right, along with their 5G broadband service, right? So they're kind of placing it in the same cities in the high capacity areas. Why? Because they have both there. Okay, it just makes logical sense. You deploy both, you offer both. Okay, so it's a very smart move on Verizon's part to do that. To serve those high capacity markets with both mobile and fixed internet. So good for them.
Very good. Gotta say, that is actually really, really good. Now let's get to T-Mobile, and then after you have to bounce, you're more than welcome to. But we have only got 2 more stories after this. So T-Mobile has now touted 5G coverage in 200 more cities. Now, they don't exactly say the names of the cities, but they are touting that this 5G mid-band 2.5 gigahertz 5G delivers both broad coverage and fast speeds at the same time. They are saying it is 7.5 times faster. Of course, that's the 5G gimmick. But of course, they are now saying mid-band has reached nearly 410 cities, and it will be rolling out to over 100 million people, blah, 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 blah. So I would like to ask you, as T-Mobile, you know a little bit about T-Mobile. We know a little bit here, thing or two. Do you know anything about deployment? Is there anything you could say on the 5G rollout? How is it going? And is it there yet? Do you believe it's there for T-Mobile? Do you believe their 5G can withstand the capacity? Do you think it can withstand currently what we're seeing from T-Mobile now?
It's not there yet. But a lot of things that what they're doing is their goal said the eventual goal, the end goal said, the 2.5 on every single site, every single tower, right? To get there in the near term, short term, we have to think, what some people don't understand is that we have to add capacity in the short term, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you add capacity in the short term? You add these 2.5 layers, these overlays, as I say, the 2.5 overlays, to where you get 2.5 in the area, okay, so that people can have access to the 2.5. It may not be on all the sites, it may not be in every cluster of sites, right? But the goal is to eventually get there. Now, in the next couple of years, obviously, we'll be, T-Mobile will be ramping up into new builds, stuff like that, more off capacity load towers, more clusters of sites in your area. But this is just a start to get capacity filled in the near term, so that the network doesn't tank in certain areas.
Agree. Yes. Of course, more than me about this area. This is kind of your specialty of bread and butter. So it kind of makes more sense for you to speak on this rather than me. And with that said, I would like to introduce everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a brand new guest coming on for the first time. I think this is the first time I've seen him on a podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, the moderator, the man, me and him go way back. We have our little here and there. Zero Cool RF. No,
let's see that hair. Come on, where is he?
John is in the house, ladies and gentlemen.
You better turn on that camera,
man. Hey, what's going on, John? Thank you for stopping by. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
No, it's great to have you. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, if you do not know, me and John, we go way back from when I started in the SMT community. We've had some moments. We've had some funny interactions you guys have seen in the live streams, but at the end of the day, it's all fun, respect. Nobody hates nobody. This man, I cannot believe he's here tonight. I'm surprised because we never see you on podcasts, John. So it's really great to have you on tonight. It's really good.
Go ahead, Caleb.
It's good to see you, John.
Now,
and I will
been asking, are we going to see that hair? What you been hiding?
I know, right?
You're promoting.
Not tonight.
Oh, it means it's not ready yet. No.
Oh, not yet. Well.
Yeah, I will. I'll take off, guys. Technoid, I appreciate you having me on, and John, I'll let you take it the rest of the way.
All right,
later, Caleb.
Have a great night, guys.
You too.
Thank you for stopping by. All right, John. So it's me and you. Are you ready? We got 2 more stories. We're gonna hand it out, and then after we are gonna close it off. Are you ready, sir?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All right. Last 2 stories. We're gonna dive right in quickly to Tesla. Now, how you know a little bit about Tesla? I'm pretty sure. I've seen you say a couple of things here and there about Tesla.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, I'm not talking about the cars. I've picked this story solely for the software because a lot of people say that Tesla is a car. A lot of people make a lot of arguments. But here's the thing about people that don't understand about Tesla. At the core of a Tesla car is the software. That's really what makes the car run. So in order for the car to run on its own, it needs a software. So I picked this story specifically because of its software. And right now, if you haven't seen the video, guys, and also to you, John, the full self-driving beta's performance has been leaked online. A user has been using the beta, and it was actually not that good. Now, of course, we kind of expected this because this is a beta, and of course, this is true self-driving. This is not the one where you have to put your hands on steering. No, this thing actually fully capable, but it was a really, really bad test. In the video, the user almost got into a near miss, almost by like a few seconds. It was really bad. I wouldn't say it was scary, but it could have been worse. So I want to ask you, John, Why would Tesla push the beta even though they're selling it now at 10 grand? Why are they pushing the beta when it's clearly not even ready for this incident to almost happen? God forbid, this person that got hurt. Why are they charging 10 grand for literally what essentially is just the regular self-driving that we have now, but then saying, oh, but you could sign up for the beta?
Number one, I think it's because people are going to pay for it, just like Apple devices. People pay whatever the cost is. Number two, I think they realize that there's only so much quote unquote lab testing they can do. They want to get it out on the streets and real world situations, and so they can collect data and make the necessary improvements to self driving cars. So because this is how it's going to mature, right? If you don't put the cars in regular streets and where there's a lot of cars, a lot of pedestrians, and I guess they they're willing to take the risk that it could hit someone and God forbid kill someone, but I guess they just see this as an opportunity cost to make the self-driving cars more I guess more operable. So because right now, I mean, it's just super young. They don't have the technology's not there. They don't have enough sensors and cameras and all that stuff. So I guess this is just their way of developing technology.
I agree. I know exactly where you're coming from. Every company does this, from Apple to Samsung, everybody. But the thing that scares me a little bit that scares me is that this is a feature that people are probably going to use going from point A to point B. And the thing that kind of scares me is that this is truly self-driving. Like, this is not the fake version. This is the real legitimate deal. And I think the part that scares me the most is really when you use this thing in the place that's like 25 miles or maybe where there's frequent stop signs and where there's pedestrians and things. I think that's the part that scares me, because you don't know how the car is going to react or if it's been programmed and stuff like that. Now, of course, it comes with testing, like you said, but I'm a little bit skeptical because now you're charging people the 10 grand and this feature ain't even rolled out yet. This is just a beta feature. So if it was the full version, I would say, okay, you can justify the $10,000 price tag, but it's a little scary, at least for if you are going to use this driving capability in areas where there's a lot of people. Now, quickly to follow up, and then we'll move on over to our last and final story, is if, let's say, this feature rolls out and it gets all the ninks, Tesla gets it good, and the full self-driving beta goes into release. How do you see it playing out? Do you think that this feature will be a must-have for Tesla users, or do you feel it's just a gimmick and you can live without it?
I think a lot of people want it, and obviously a lot of people are willing to pay for it. I don't think the $10,000 is the issue here. I think it's just more about the risk that they're taking. People getting hit, people getting run over, and usually in these cases, companies they try to see what they can get away with, and so unless like something really catastrophic happens, the government might just let them take the risk. And the government probably wants self-driving cars to begin with, because right now the way they see it is that self-driving cars potentially in the future can be more safer than people driving cars, because there's a lot of people driving now. Maybe Tesla and the government are on the same page in terms of hey, this is the opportunity cost, there's going to be risk, but ultimately in the future it's going to be safer than what we have now.
I agree. I do hope that it gets to that point. I do appreciate, the safety, because Tesla is raved and known about their safety. But the feature did get picked up by the government. They're actually looking into it to make sure that it meets the regulations and stuff. So I do appreciate, again, added security, definitely to make people feel safe. And the last story, and then we'll finish up the show. The last story is Samsung. The Galaxy App Store has been given a redesign, John. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but it has been given a redesign where the emphasis has now been placed on games. So I have used my Galaxy Note. I saw the changes. I've seen everything. And let me just say, it really didn't feel like a revamp. But basically what they did was they put the sole emphasis on games as their most featured, and most notably the one game and the one thing that really takes up the entire App Store is Fortnite. So my final question, the last story of the night, because honestly, I'm going to just say right now, the Galaxy Store for me is just not working, John. Because when the Play Store, Google has more developers and stuff, and Samsung wants to build an ecosystem, it's so confusing. My final question would be, where do you see the Galaxy Store going from this point forward? Because it seems like the only thing they have to bank on is Fortnite.
So I think they're using Fortnite as like this kind of like the Halo product to get people to start using it. But you and I both know that we've been using Samsung products for years, and this is nothing new because every time Google came out with an app, they will come out with something similar. For years we had like a Google email client app, we had a Samsung email client app, we had a Samsung browser, we had the Google Chrome. So and also you have to think about how like the fact that Apple got into gaming recently too. I think it's called Apple Arcade. I'm not sure what the name is. So I think Samsung, they're just doing whatever they always do, which is copy Apple. But maybe they've done their market research and they see that there's a huge growth in mobile gaming, and this is kind of what they're trending towards. That's my guess.
I think so, but I will say you and me, we have used Samsung. If you haven't, I think my only problem is that at this point, Samsung's trying to build an ecosystem, but you're building it off of Android. And I think we all know that Google Assistant is by miles better. It just comes down to a matter of if somebody has preference. And if anybody picks Bixby over Google Assistant, that takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of guts. But I will also ask to counter and also follow up. Let's say they do get this ecosystem going. Let's say they somehow manage to get this app store rolling. Could they eventually drop the Play Store, which I say no, but could it be possible? Because they also, I see here, they have TikTok, which is the most popular app right now for young people. So could it be done? I don't know. What do you think?
So Samsung has been trying to get away from the Google Play Store for a while now, right? Because they don't want to be dependent on Google, and also they don't want to pay them for every device they sell. Because right now, for every device that Samsung sells, Samsung has to pay Google a certain licensing fee because they're running Android, and that's Google software. And also they want to be able to collect user data and not have to give it to Google. So the gaming portion is one piece of the puzzle. I don't know how big it is, depending on how many people actually start, gaming on their phone compared to like PC gaming and the PS5 and traditional Xbox consoles. But I think it's a step in the right direction for them, but it's not going to be the end all be all for them. They're going to have to do a lot more work if they want to completely get away from Google.
Yeah, and another thing I forgot to mention is that Google even came out and said, we'll pay you more money to get rid of your App Store and Bixby. So Google came out, I don't know if you remember, I covered this, but basically Google said they will double their percentage. They will give them more money if they remove the App Store that they have and Bixby in return to use their service. They'll double. They're literally offering them to give them more money. And it doesn't seem like Samsung is budging. So my final question, and we'll end it, is what do you do if you're Samsung? Do you take the more money, or do, like you said, just try to get away from them and do your own thing? And, if you're going to collect people's data, don't have to give it to another company.
Yeah, I don't see Samsung accepting that offer. No matter how much money that Google throws at Samsung, they're not going to take it because they see it one day is that, what if Google stops Android, and they don't want. The thing is that they don't want to have too many eggs in the Google basket. They want to be independent and not dependent on Google. So I don't see them, accepting any money from Google for that matter.
Yeah, I believe you, and I agree. It is a kind of sad that they won't take the money, but at the same breath, I can understand their independence, and I respect it a lot. But I feel like Bixby is probably just not going to be the one that works out, unless, of course, again, they get away from Google, then you have no choice but to use it. That's why Apple kind of works out best. Apple has their own app store. They don't work with nobody. They make their own software. And basically, that's just why Apple Siri is more popular. And I think, real quick, Mr. Cormier had a comment. Mr. Cormier, thank you for dropping by. I appreciate it. He writes, Google is what you would call monopoly and can be used as a weapon. Look at Huawei. Anything you could say on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Google loves the fact that there's so many OEMs making devices for them. It's just like Microsoft. They don't really make money off of laptop sales. They make money from the software, from Windows, and Google's the same way. They make money, not only from the licensing fee, but more importantly, all the user data that they collect. That's how they improve Google search and all that. So, yeah, I think that's where it's headed.
Yeah, I do. And John, I really apologize for you coming in at the end of the show. I know I didn't even know you wanted to come on, but now that I know, I will be sending you the link more frequently so we can get you on and you could enjoy the show longer with all the guys. But I want to ask you, because I just noticed your comment, and I actually want to get your opinion on this. You're right by saying they literally half-assed the Pixel flagship every year, and it's really frustrating. I want to hear your reaction to when we covered the Pixel. I literally want to hear it because I feel bad also that you came in at the last portion of the show, but I also want to, if you are somebody that likes Google or Pixel devices or anything, what is your take? What is your opinion on that?
First and foremost, I really appreciate you having me on the show. It's definitely an honor. So I've been using Pixels ever since the what's it called, the Galaxy Nexus, where they had the OMAP processors, and they're really bad. But just seeing Google going from the Nexus devices onto the Pixel, and to think about it, the Pixel devices are supposed to be more premium. They're obviously more expensive, but they're also supposed to have Google's, their best hardware, their best software. The software is really good, but every year it just seems like they come up short in terms of hardware and design. Like for 1 year, they, for example, they don't include memory card support because they want to force you to use Google Photos and Google Drive. And then another year they have, a screen issue. So it just seems like an afterthought, and it's unfortunate because they're charging, $800 or $900. That's how it was before this year. This year it's a little more affordable, $700. But yeah, it just sucks because it doesn't feel like we're getting what Google has to offer. It just seems like an afterthought, and it just seems like we're not getting their best product, given all the prices.
I agree. Every year, there's always something wrong with at least one device. And as somebody that has used them yourself, I can understand your frustration. And I always appreciate when people that use their products can give their input and give what they say. So I do appreciate that, John, a lot. But with that said, we have reached the hour and 36 mark, and I think we are going to have to wrap it up. Sneed Mobile Tech is having a premiere right now. My man literally is a sly devil. Let me tell y'all what he did. He not only filmed this prior, then he edited it, chopped it up, and filmed it as a premiere to make it look like a live stream. Smart man. I didn't know he did that, but smart. I caught on. But with that said, I encourage you all to go over to check Sneed Mobile Tech. If you are subscribed to Sneed Mobile Tech, head on over there right now. Go check out his premiere, aka live stream, whatever. Check it out. John, I want to thank you for coming on with me, spending the last few minutes of the show. I want to thank all my guests for coming on, ShoAndTech, Zero Cool RF, Sneed Mobile Tech. I want to thank you all for joining me in the live stream. You guys are the best. Again, I hope to see you all soon in the nearby future. That is it for me. I will see you all on tomorrow's episode of Technoid. Have a safe night. And real quick, Melvin, the review will be coming out in a few weeks, but I will say I'm having a good experience so far with those Q30s. So again, thank you all for watching. Have a safe night. Head on over to Sneed Mobile Tech. Let them know Technoid sent you. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. And John, you